And good evening, afternoon, good morning, whatever time that you might be watching this. And welcome to Jim's in Town Gardening and Bella's Legacy Rabbitry. And I won't say it. Want to welcome everybody to Owning a Rabbit or Rabbits. This is part two, taking care of your bunnies. And today I want to look into cages. I'm going to take a few minutes and kind of explain inside cages, outside cages, some of the cages that I have. I'll share some uh, different ones that I have sold, what they've shared with me. Um, because a home for your new bunny or your bunny that you might be thinking about getting is very important. They need space, they need protection. Um, Now, for inside bunny, like I mentioned yesterday, they need a proper size home. And oftentimes, and I've seen this, they'll have them in a little tiny place, and that's where they stay. And that really isn't adequate for a bunny. They need to have some runaround time. Now, because we are a semi commercial rabbitry, I do have some rabbits that are in 30 by 30s. I've got some that are in 30 by 36s. Um, but they also have some time to be able to get out and move around and hop around. And I had shared if I'm cleaning a complete cage out, if I'm a lot of times if I'm vacuuming, and after I vacuum, I'll take that cage and scrub it, and I'll allow that rabbit to go along the floor. Now my bunny barn is 20 feet long. So they have that whole middle strip. Some of you in the videos, you've seen the way I have it. I've got cages on each side of the bunny barn. They have that whole 20 feet that they can roam around, and they do. They'll go from cage to cage, smelling each other, and it just gives them that chance to move around. Now I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. I don't do this often, and usually if I do, I have time to get it set up, share screen. Okay, window. There we go. So this is our one of our inside bunnies. Now the bottom part is her whole home. Now that is about 7.5 feet long. She has that whole length. Now she has some things in there. There's a tunnel that she can go in and play, and she does. Of course, the hay ball, that's where her hay is stored. Um, if you notice right there near my feet, there's a little hole. That was for her water, and it didn't work. I had mentioned yesterday that sometimes with the water bottles, they'll pick them up and they'll flip them. Well, that's what Satin does. Even with her food, which her food will set on the floor, and she'll eat for a while, and then she'll flip the whole bowl. It's what rabbits do. And especially when she gets cleaned out, usually her whole house is cleaned out about every 3 days. Her litter box, depending on how much she goes, is cleaned out every day, every other day. But the whole thing is usually cleaned about every 3 days. Now, my intentions for this was to build a ladder, not a ladder, but a ramp going up to the upstairs, and then she would have had that whole run there too. But we've got another bunny. My intentions for that other bunny is to make a hole upstairs for her. So this gives you some ideas of, if you want a rabbit in your home, um, something that you can set up really easy. Now the wire parts, those comes in a box. I think it's a box of 10 or a box of 12. I don't remember how much they cost. And other people have done this, and I started it, and it's like, this is not going to hold a bunny if she starts, getting up on the sides. So I use the pine boards, and I use pine because pine is good for rabbits. They can eat pine boards, but there are quite a few that you need to be careful of. Hemlock would be one that I couldn't use, and I use a lot of hemlock here. Most of my barn structures are out of hemlock, so that just gives you a few ideas. Um, Let me stop sharing for just a moment. So, all right, now the one up above her, right there, that is a 24 by 24 cage. That's a small lion head that's in there. And like I said, um, she'll have the whole upstairs. Some point this winter, I'll create that for her, which is more than enough room for that bunny. Now, let me see if I can bring up some other ones here. Okay, now this is a rabbit that, let's see, get back to sharing. Like I said, I don't do this real often, and I see I can put them in slides, and that's what I probably should have done. Okay. Now, this one is this is a bunny that we sold. This is part Lionhead, part Mini Rex. Sold to a young lady quite a few years ago. Now, this rabbit has its own room. That is its whole room. And so this one I would say you wouldn't have to take it out, and because it has plenty of room. Now, yesterday I had mentioned, let me see if I can pull that up easy. I knew I had another one, and I'm not seeing it. All right. Now, this is one of my 30 by 36 cages. Oh, you're not seeing it. Let me see. Why weren't you able to see that? Now that I know that I can put these on slides, that's what I'll probably end up doing, because it would make it so much easier. Okay, so these would be, actually there's 4 does in that cage. That's a 30 by 36. These were younger rabbits. These were waiting to go to their new homes. Now with these, because I was showing on camera, a lot of these came out often, and the grooming and the nail trimming. Now you can see I mentioned so you can see that, the resting mats that I have in there. Normally I have 2 resting mats in every single cage. Even a 30 by 30, I have 2 resting mats in there. And I usually try to pick it in a place where they're not peeing and pooping, because it can cling to that. You can see the hay ball up here. The water bottle, and the feeders would be on the front of the cage. Now, we talked about urine guards yesterday. You can see in the back the silver. Those are urine guards. They also work as baby savers, because my 30 by 36 cages is what I use for moms giving birth, and usually mom stays in there until the babies are, depending on the growth, depending on the size of the doe, the breed of the doe, they'll stay in there until about 4.5 weeks would be the very earliest, and usually about 6 weeks would be the latest that I would keep a mom in with a doe, with the babies. And again, it depends on litter size. And then there's times that you're going to see that mama's had enough of babies. They'll try to nurse, and she just won't have any part. That is what they call uh, the mental weaning. Now, when she thinks the babies should have milk, that's when she'll do it. All right, let me stop that screen again. So, I had another one I really wanted to share here, and I'm not seeing it. Okay, so let's look at indoor cages for somebody that's looking for a pet rabbit. And what I'm going to try to do, friends, is I'm going to show you some ideas for pet rabbits, and you can do a search on your own. There's all different places you can look. Um, Wayfair has them, Chewy.com has them, Amazon has some. Uh, there's a whole bunch of places. So you can do your own search on that. But I just want to give you some ideas. There are some nice looking rabbit cages. So let me share the screen. And then afterwards, I am going to show you some outside ideas. If you are wanting a pet rabbit that you can have for outside, the only thing on outside is wintertime here in Maine. You're going to need something else for shelter. Now, I know people who have brought some of the outside ones in, or they'll bring them in their garage. That way they're out of the rain, they're out of the wind. Like I said, colder temperatures rabbits can handle pretty well. And once we get to that, I'll show you and give you some ideas on that. So here are, let me see if I can make this big. I don't know what's going to happen here. This might change everything around. Full screen layout, that's what I want. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this. And you get an idea of some of the prices. $319.99. Now I have seen somebody that has this one, $109.99. That's an idea. Here's one that you can do a whole bunch of things with, toys, and got little wheels and little places for them to hide. Now this one here, the paw hut. Now I have seen people have these right in their homes. If you've got wall space that you could do something like that. Here's another one here. They have access to the outside, but they can go up this little ramp, and they have a place to get away. And sometimes rabbits will do that. Satin. There's times she'll lay in her tunnel. There's times that she'll go in the tunnel and lay in her bed on the other end of the tunnel. So these just show you some ideas. I have seen this one. Couple had 2 bunnies, and they bought 2 of these, one for each rabbit, and it was in their garage. That's an Amazon one. So, and all as I did, it was indoor rabbit cage. So this gives you an idea of some options. So somebody looking. So now let's go to, we'll drop that one down. Of course, I'm going to have to change my screen again. That's indoor. I don't want indoor. Outdoor bunny cages. All right, so I got to switch screens again. Let's see. Remove. Let's see if I can get the next one. Now that I know that I can, let me see if this is going to pull up the one I want. No, wrong one. Present. I thought it was going to be a little easier to do this, and it's not. All right, window. Share. I don't want to go full screen. All right, so these are some outside ideas. That's a good size one. It's $489.99. That's asom.com. I have seen these. These would be easy to make on your own. This one is selling for $159.99. And I'm sure that you could go and you could find building plans if you wanted to build your own. Now this one here from Amazon, I have seen this. I've seen ones with this style. I have seen this style, different ones that I've had. This looks a lot. This one down here looks a lot like very similar to my chicken tractor. So this gives you some ideas. This is nice here. This one could be used as a chicken coop or a rabbit. Here's another one here. The only thing, I don't know if these have a wire on the bottom. If they don't, I would definitely put the 1/2 by inch wire on there, and I would get it off the ground. I'd have at least a 2-inch, a 2x2 or something underneath that, and you'd probably want a few just to balance the whole thing. Otherwise, those rabbits are going to dig right underneath it, and they're going to be escapees. So just something to think about. See if they got some other ones. No. Let me see if I can share this. Actually, large. So we got here. Let me go. All right, now there's different places that you can go for supplies, whether it's to make your own, build your own, or even if you bought all assembled. Now, there is a gentleman, this isn't what I wanted either. No, that's not what I wanted. Anyways, Bass Rabbit supplies would be one. There's KW Rabbits. There's a whole bunch of them. If you type in rabbit supplies, you'll find a whole bunch of them. Now, there is a gentleman in Maine who just purchased some rabbits. I know he's going to be making cages. He would be down the southern part of the state. I don't think him and his friend have started yet, but I know they're buying wire and to get started. But they're really not that hard to make. My outside cages, what I my younger ones that I'm selling for breed stock, those are 8 feet long by 30 feet wide, 18 inch. Actually, I think I'm a little over 18 inches high, for a wall, and then they have the top on it. And then what I did is I took 2x2s and I screwed them up from the bottom on the corners, and then in the center where the two cages are divided, there's a 2x2 right there. Keep it off the floor or off the ground, but yet that grass still will grow up. And you've seen in some of the pictures that I've shared that I pick some grass each morning and throw in there for them. They enjoy that. So that's some ideas. Now, For inside rabbits, I would really recommend having something along the whole outside of the cage, or inside, but around the whole thing as a urine guard. Um, because usually, I shared this yesterday, usually they're going to back up to a corner, and that's where they're going to pee, that's where they're going to poop. And oftentimes, if you don't have something protecting that back corner, um, they're going to squirt it outside. Um, I have one doe. She's an older doe. I might have shared her name yesterday, Midnight. She's the one that was born in 2015. She pees right in the front. And I don't have a urine guard there. I should. But there's been times that I'll be bent over and I'll be working on the cage underneath her, and all of a sudden my hat gets wet. And that's what it is I was right under while she was peeing. And so that's something to think about. Resting mats. Now, resting mats, we get those on Amazon. And just type in rabbit nesting or resting mats. Now, I believe you buy those in packages of 10. I think it's 10. Don't quote me. They're a little bit pricey. However, they're going to save your rabbit's feet. You can buy different colors. What we have is blue. I think you can get red. I think you can get green. I think there's even some orange. I don't think for you purple lovers, I don't think they have purple, but they might. Water bottles. I usually get my water bottles, the 16 ounce. I usually get those at Walmart. You can buy them at Tractor Supply. You can buy them at other feed stores. They've got ones that you can plug in so that they don't freeze during the winter. I don't have any of them. What I usually do is I get those 16s, and if I do buy them, I buy a case, which I think is 12, and I usually get that at Walmart. That's usually about the cheapest. There are some water bottles that I won't buy any more of. One of those would be the Katie. The Katie ones, I have a lot of rabbits that can't use them. They won't use them. And then if you accidentally drop them, it will break that little plastic where your tube goes in. I don't buy those anymore. Trying to think what it is I use. Lick It. I think it's Lick It. And for those that have seen, actually, right there is the type that I use. And then if I have moms with nursing baby or with older babies, let's say 3 weeks, 4 weeks old, I do the 32 ounce. Some of you have seen those in my videos. Because I don't want my rabbits running out at night. And oftentimes, rabbits are going to do more of their eating and drinking at night. So when I leave the barn at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, when I get back out there at 7:30 in the morning, unless there's something else going on, then it's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't want those rabbits running out. So with the 32 ounce, that gives them plenty. So now for grain. Molly. That, I believe, is a Katie feeder. You can put your grain in there. There's a little wire piece that slides down that you can put hay in the background. Because I don't have a place to put a J feeder on that cage, that's what I use for her. I also use those for my litters when they start coming out of the nest box, because my J feeders are quite a ways off the floor. They'd have a hard time getting in there. And once they do get in there, if they get in there at a young age, they're going to get up there and they're going to pee and they're going to poop in there. So I use a Katy feeder like that. I fill the grain up and I put very little hay in there. Um, and for those that are raising rabbits, you want to be careful when you hang those on the cages because oftentimes mom is not going to like it. It's something new in that cage and she may grab it and throw it and spill all your grain. Um, Usually, to get it started, I'll just throw a little bit of grain in there and just watch her reaction. If she starts eating out of it, she's usually fine. And then I'll throw some more hay in and just go. But I want those babies to be able to start eating grain as soon as they come out. And usually that's about 2.5 weeks. Now, if your barn is cold, it could be 3.5 weeks before they'll come out. But I encourage them, and of course, my hands are in there with them anyways. I want them to know that, hey, you guys are safe. Not going to hurt you, and they just get used to me often. So many times they'll come out a little bit earlier, and I think oftentimes because I'll go in, and normally a light is always on at night. I usually turn it on 3:30, 4 o'clock because it gets dark here and about that time. And it will stay on until I leave for the night, which could be 8:30, 9 o'clock. And there's times that I'll look in the bottom of that tray and I'll see their little marbles floating around. It's like, you guys have been out, but you won't see any bunnies out for a bit. So I don't know if mama tells them, get back in that box. I don't know. Or they hear the sound and they're not sure and they jump back in. Somebody that's raised rabbits, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see, what else? Talked about the urine guards. That's something I really encourage. Some of the cages, they'll have plastic liners all the way, and the whole cage will sit on top of a tray. So you pull the cage out, and then you can dump and clean your bottom. It works as a side and the catcher for your marbles and pee and stuff. Main thing, and if you add something for urine guards there, make sure it's not sharp. Now, those are made out of tin, but the way that they're formed, if a rabbit starts digging in there, they're not going to cut their feet. I had somebody make up some, and I was so careful when I put those in there. Molly at times will start digging at that, and I have to make sure that it's attached really good because I don't want her cutting her feet on that. So that gives you some ideas on cages. I had a bunch of other pictures I wanted to share with you. There's some who have had the rabbits outside. I had the picture of a gentleman who, and I shared this yesterday, who bought one of the New Zealand white does as a pet rabbit, and he had the bot type hutch, and the dog was in there with the bunny, and that's why I was saying dogs and rabbits can get along, but it's something you want to really pay attention to, especially at first. You don't want a dog attacking the rabbit, and you don't want the rabbit having a heart attack because it's scared of the dog. So that is part 2 of this series. I hope somebody got something out of it. If you're thinking about getting a pet bunny, you've got some places that you can go and look for. Wayfair was one. Amazon seems to be a good place. Tractor Supply, I know, sells some hutches. You can make your own. And I know that you can go online, go to Pinterest, because my wife is on Pinterest a lot, and she has sent me links to different places. You can get some ideas. For commercial rabbits, if you're looking to breed for to sell, if you're looking to raise your own meat. There's all different places you can find. Actually, sometimes you can find them for sale used. But again, it depends on the type of rabbit that you're going to be raising. New Zealand's, Californians, Rexes. I'm just going to use those breeds for an example. I would not use anything less than a 34 by 36 cage to raise that size bunny and her offspring. Now, your New Zealand bucks, Rex bucks, Californian bucks, that size breed, for your boys, you can get by with a 30 by 30. Most of my boys are in 24 by 36. It gives them a little more length. Buster, my main New Zealand, is a big boy. He's a long boy. And when he's stretched out, he'll take up the whole cage. When his feet are back, he'll take up almost the whole cage. So, and again, even if you're raising commercial, I would let those rabbits have a chance to get out some. If you could once a week, just let them get a little bit of that exercise, and I think you'll find a healthier rabbit. And it's fun to watch. Maybe tomorrow I'll talk about some of the different feeds. And now that I know that I can put different clips on here, I can do that, and I can share a lot easier that way. So, friends, thank you so much for spending some time. Again, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, I'd ask, please do. And you know what? Share with other people. You might know somebody that's looking to get a pet rabbit, and they don't know how am I gonna, can I keep it in the house? And I'll go through some more ideas. But the other thing that I want to do shortly is to have a question and answer, and I would also invite other rabbit owners to come up and we'll do a live, and people can ask questions. How I do things, how another rabbit breeder does things. I think we can all learn from each other. So hopefully you'll smash that like button. Again, if you know somebody that can get something out of this series, please share it with them. And I'm always here to give whatever advice I can. Some of you watching, you know how to get a hold of me. You've got my phone number. You got my email address. Love to help people out. So I want to thank you. Have a blessed day.